Hey everybody. Settling into Espresso and Kabbalah. Good morning everybody, and welcome back to Espresso and Kabbalah. We are so happy to be with you this morning. It's always such a joy to study Tanya together. So let's lift a glass. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nihiyah b'dvaro. Amazing. Cheers. So here we are. We're ready to dive into the Tanya. And today we are on a really amazing chapter. I love this chapter. It's chapter 17 of the Practical Tanya by Rabbi Chaim Miller, who is adapting the words of the Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Schneur Zalman of Liadi, and he teaches us all about the soul and the body and the animal soul and the godly soul and what we're doing here and how to do it in the best way. So welcome back, everybody. I'm really glad that we're getting to study together today. Chapter 17, page 201. What is within your reach? We're having Espresso and Kabbalah, diving into the wisdom of the Tanya. Why your purpose is within your reach. And I love this chapter so much because, it's just so amazing to be able to understand that everything that we need is within our hands, within our palm's reach. The Tanya has consistently stressed that the key to developing real emotions for God is through meditating upon His greatness. In chapter 16, we learned that even a meditation which fails to generate palpable emotion and is only felt more subtly in the hidden places in the heart is sufficient to inspire genuine worship. With this in mind, we will now turn to an important citation on the Alter Rebbe's title page of the Tanya, upon which the entire book is based, which suggests that worshiping God is within reach. Like that store, a design within reach. It's just like you can reach out and grab it. So, what does it say? Ubazeh, chapter 17, Parak Yud Zayin of the Tanya. Ubazeh yuvan ma shekasov, and based on the above, we can explain the verse cited on the author's title page of the Tanya. Ki karav elecha hadavar ma'ed, beficha ubelvavcha la'asaisai. So this is like the main foundation of the Tanya that says it is this body of commandments which I'm commanding you to keep, right? Like the Torah, the mitzvot, it is not beyond you, nor is it far away. Rather, the thing is very much within reach for you, in your mouth and in your heart, so that you can do it. And this is a verse from Deuteronomy, from Devarim, in the Chumash. And it really means that you don't have to go so far away for inspiration. You don't have to travel the world. I mean, you could, and that would be fun. But inspiration and the conviction and the motivation and everything we need to be our best selves is within reach. It's right there. So what does it say? For at first glance, to observe the commandment in your heart is contrary to the experience of our senses. Who could honestly say that his heart is not drawn to things out loud by the Torah? The Torah nitzchus, and the entire Torah is eternally relevant to us. The Tanya dismisses the idea in the verse in Deuteronomy that it was pitched exclusively at a spiritual experience that is like years gone by. The Torah is eternal. It's not like it just applied thousands and thousands of years ago. It's something that applies to every single one of us until today. Each and every one of us can find something in Torah's teachings and something somewhere in the mitzvah, whether you're a person who's drawn to kind deeds and acts of goodness and kindness, or a person who's drawn to Torah study, or a person who's drawn to any sort of specific type of temperament or personality type. The Torah has something in it for you specifically. And it's forever. She'en karav ma'ed hadavar, for it would seem that the thing of desiring to observe the mitzvah in your heart is not very much within reach. Since this would require us to turn our hearts away from the desires of the world to genuine love of God instead. You can't fully love God in your heart and at the same time desire self-gratification from the pleasures of the world, right? As Sefer HaChinuch, Mitzvah 148 states, one who focuses his thoughts on physical matters and the futilities of the world, not for the sake of heaven, but merely to enjoy them or to achieve illusory honor, not intending to assist and strengthen good and upstanding people, violates the positive commandment to love God. So here it's saying that loving God actually means like feeling it in your heart in a way that negates all other self-gratifying experiences. As the Tanya will now demonstrate, not only is this experience contrary to the experience of our senses, it also appears to be contrary to the Talmud. And we're going to explore further what this means. As it is written in the Talmud, Atu yira milta zutartihi. Is reverence of God really a small thing? The Talmud itself recognizes that to revere God is challenging for us. V'kol sheken ahava, and if reverence of God is no small thing, then how much more so love of God? Loving God is more difficult because, as the Tanya just stated, you must turn your heart away from desiring the pleasures of the world, which is not required for reverence and awe of God, which was written by Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, the Frierdiker Rebbe. For the higher status of love over reverence, the Tanya now cites another proof from the sages that developing emotions for God is a challenging task. So we're, like the Alter Rebbe is saying, it's very near to you in your mouth and in your heart. Like you can just reach out and speak it. You can reach out and feel it and do it and say it. And we're like, it's not that easy to, is it really that easy? Like, is it that close and that easy to love God in our hearts? Or we're going to see. I guess we can all think about it in our own lives, how difficult or how easy it may be. V'gam Amru Rabbeinu Zacharna Lebracha, our rabbis of blessed memory, also taught the tzaddikim davka libam v'shosam, that it is exclusively tzaddikim who are in control of their hearts and can summon emotions at will. So first of all, l'chaim, I think is necessary at this point. Cheers. And I want to wish you all lots of good health and happiness and success in everything that you set out to accomplish, including these lofty goals of being in control and self-control of our emotions and our mental capacity, because truly when we reach out and take control of our feelings and like, okay, so I'm sad right now, I can do something to make myself feel happy, or I want to feel calm, or I want to feel peaceful or joyful, we can literally reach out and accomplish those feelings. And the Alter Rebbe is going to teach us how. To be in control of the heart, which is the level of a saint, a tzaddik, is very different from the experience of the Benoni, whose brain rules over the heart. The tzaddik is in full control of his heart, right? The righteous person and the saint. And he sustains authentic feelings for God consistently. The Benoni, on the other hand, is torn by an uncontrollable mixture of emotions in his heart, and only manages consistency in his behavior by using his mind to overrule the desires of his heart. So our verse that we're discussing, it can't be suggesting that consistent reverence and love of God is very much within reach for everyone, since this is something experienced only by the saint. So what does this verse mean? Ella, rather, page 203. The words in your heart, and so that you can do it, constitute one single phrase. Dila saisai reitza lamer ha'ava hamavia lideasias hamitzvah bilbad. I.e., the words that you can do it refer to a minimal level of love, just what is needed to bring about the practical observance of the mitzvot. So it's not like we have to overcome all of our feelings of all time. It's a very specific type of like, right here, right now, just get this one thing done. That's all we need to feel for. Like that tiny bit of self-control just takes a smidgen of the correct emotion in order to get us like on board. So worship of God is in our hearts, right? We discussed that. We need to feel it in order to do it, but only sufficiently that we can do it, right? La'asai say, no more than that. The verse is not suggesting that a consistent emotional bond to God is possible in our hearts. Rather, it teaches that to conjure enough feelings for God to practically observe His commandments is within reach for us. Inside, we may still be torn emotionally, but generating the minimal awakening of our feelings necessary for disciplined control of our actions should be manageable. So, l'chaim. I bet we can all think of a time in our lives and relate to a moment where maybe we had very strong feelings in a certain direction and we were torn and we were really pulled to feeling a certain way. And all it takes in that moment of like extreme emotional, whatever it is that we're going through, it's literally like one, like, I guess if we're measuring in units, like a millimeter of self-control a millimeter of emotion in the correct direction can get us over to the other side of self-control and not letting our emotions overtake us. So contrary to popular belief, it's not like we need a huge emotional upheaval to be in self-control. It's not like we need a major amount of control over our desires and our will. We just need a teeny tiny bit, and that is within reach for us. And just like focusing in that moment, like I don't need to be afraid right now. I don't need to panic right now. I don't need to be anxious right now. Just take a deep breath and try to control that feeling. The teeniest step can make a huge difference to how we feel and how we make those around us feel. And we can all do it. It's all in the power within our hearts. And this is what the Alter Rebbe teaches us. According to this interpretation, Deuteronomy, like this verse, supports the second all-encompassing principle of chapter 16. Even if our intellectual capacity and cognitive focus prove insufficient to generate a love of God tangibly in our hearts, that is still acceptable, since in our heart, so we can do it, refers to a minimal level of love, sufficient only to bring about the practical observance of the mitzvot, of the commandments. It's almost like if we really just need a tiny little bit of awareness to get through a moment. Let's say someone is giving us having a hard time at work or at home or in a social setting, and we just need to have like 1 second of meditation and be like, let me think about what this person is going through, and like that one tiny little bit of like intellectual capacity and like focus and like bringing our feelings over to like a compassionate place, that can change the way we act. We, instead of lashing out or instead of saying something we don't mean or doing something that we don't mean to do, we can automatically switch it over to something kind that that person will thank us for the rest of their lives, right? Like, because hurt feelings are unfortunately, they can last for a long time if we're not gonna like fix it. So we can literally change the moment and hold ourselves back from a negative thought, a negative word, or a negative act just by taking a tiny bit of emotional attention to what is needed in the moment. Shehi re'usa de liba, this minimal love, is being the desire of the heart, and it says this in the Zohar, Shabbatalum lev, which is it's generated subtly, and it's in the hidden places of the heart, from the Psalms, through meditation. Gam ki eina be'eskalas liba kirish be'esh, even if it is not palpable in our hearts like flaming fire. So as we learned in the previous chapter, while meditation will not always bring us to have tangible emotions for God, it should lead us to at least have a subtle feeling for God in the hidden places in our hearts. And v'davar zeh karev ma'ad v'nakal lakol adam asher yesh lamach v'kadkai. And this is a thing which is very much within reach and easily accessible for anyone who has a brain in his head, from the Talmud. So I guess the Talmud doesn't really mince words, it just says it like it is. If somebody has a power of the mind in any circumstance, they can do this task. So because you can control what you think in your brain. And using your brain, you can think about whatever you want. And we're on page 204 with this radical concept of the Alter Rebbe, that if anyone has a brain in their head, which hopefully all of us are alive and well, and we all do, we are able to control what we think. It's not happenstance what we think about. It's not like out of our control. We can literally think about whatever we want to think about. And if we think about the greatness of the Blessed Infinite One, and we just think for a moment about, wow, there's a God in this world, He created the seas and the mountains and the plants and the animals and people, and He created me. He created you and I. We will inevitably generate, at least in our minds, a love for God, sufficient to inspire us to attach to Him through the practical observance of the mitzvah and studying His Torah. So we can't choose to have feelings for God. We can't always choose to feel a certain way, but we can choose to think about His awesomeness, His greatness, what we're grateful for. And even if our thoughts don't succeed in generating a strong, eternally emotional connection to God, we will at least be able to generate enough motivation to obey His will or to observe the commandment that He set out for us. So we don't need to think about intensely loving God. We don't need to feel all these really deep emotional feelings very intensely, and that may not be very much within reach, right? It says, generating a minimal feeling for God, just sufficient enough to observe something that He desires from us, that is within our control. So I guess we can all think of examples in our own lives, whatever we're personally setting as goals for ourselves, but generating just a minimal feeling for it, that's all we need, and then the rest kicks in. Have you ever, wanted to go work out, but you just kind of sat there and didn't get up the strength to go, just a minimal feeling, I should do this, I can do this, that's sufficient, and then we go, and that's within our control, and then the rest, there are other functions that kick in that help us get through that moment that we're trying to get through. So l'chaim, this is a really radical concept that, contrary to what some there's different studies or people think that certain things are out of our control, but really we really are able to control what we think in our brains. So we're never victims, and our fears are never in control of us, right? Let your fears listen to you, because you are in control of what you think and what you feel. And we can make every moment the best moment possible. So l'chaim. L'chaim to that, l'chaim to us, to you and I. And we're almost done with this section for today. V'zeh kol adam. And the conclusion of the matter is, let's keep what God set out for us in this world. It's like if we buy a dishwasher, right, we're going to look at the guide if something goes wrong, if we want to utilize it in the best way. When we look at the world, we look at the blueprint in the Torah. God said, this is the best way to live. I promise you guys, like you can try all the other ways out there, but this is going to bring you happiness and fulfillment and joy. And it doesn't have to be everything. It can just be one little thing, and every little step towards completing our purpose and connecting with our souls brings this world to such a beautiful, high, and holy place. For this is the purpose of man. If the thought that I might only be able to achieve a minimal love of God, which is sufficient to like do something, like get through a moment or get something accomplished, seems disillusioning, the scripture is reassuring us. This is the entire whole purpose of man. Judaism considers my outward behavior to be of primary importance. Like, let's say I love my child, right? Or somebody loves their child very, very dearly in their heart. But if their child is experiencing their parent showing a display of anger or, impatience or something like that, the experience of the child, internally they may know that you love them or that they're very loved in a very deep and real way, but their experience in that moment is like not feeling very loved, right? So Judaism teaches us that outward behavior is so, so important. If we display patience and display love and affection and kindness and compassion, that's going to be the experience of the people on the other end, especially for children. Like they sense if we're smiling and kind to them, that's what they're going to feel. And God forbid the opposite, that's also what they're going to feel, even if we love them very much. So the outward behavior matters a lot, right? Even if we're not perfect inside, even if we struggle and we try to get through day to day and it's not always so easy, our outward expression of what I think about on a daily basis, what I say, and what I do, my actions, that really shows on who I am. And I'm sure we've all had moments where we fake it till you make it, right? Like if you're not feeling up to something, but you're like, let me just get through it, let me just do it, I'll put myself out there and I'll make it happen. It's like that kind of comes back to us. It's almost like karmic. Like when we put ourselves out there to do something good, it comes back to us, even if we kind of had to push ourselves to get there in the first place. I'm sure we all have moments like that in our lives where we maybe didn't feel like doing something at first, but then we did it and we felt so good after. If I can achieve mastery, at least in that area of external, outward behavior, I can be confident that I've achieved my purpose in life. So feelings come, feelings go. They're like clouds in the wind. They're like boats in the sea. And we don't have to bank so much of who am I and what am I accomplishing and what am I doing. We don't have to bank so much of that on our feelings because they're very transient, like they don't last forever, right? They just come and go. But what we do, that good deed that we did, whether or not we felt like it in the moment, that lasts forever. Like the ripple effect of something kind that we do, we can never ever know. A kind word that we say, a kind deed that we do, a kind thought that we think. Have you ever thought about someone and then have you ever tried to think positively about someone and then you notice that they've had a better reaction to you? Like when we think positively about people around us, it shines out of our faces and out of our hearts, and they respond in kind. K'mayim panim el panim, right? Like a person is water facing water. And when we think good things about them, without even saying or doing anything, just a good thought, it reflects back, and it makes such a difference. There's this quote by a childhood author, where he says, if you think good thoughts, they'll shine out of your face like sunbeams and will make you lovely. So that's something beautiful. I'm under the AC. So l'chaim. Sorry about that. Anyway, we can achieve our purpose in our lives by conquering our outward expression. And this is something so central in Hasidic philosophy. Today is the day. For the verse states regarding the mitzvot, do them today. Shehayim, today, hu aylam ma'aseh davka, today in this lifetime it's in the physical world. We're right here, right now, and the specific emphasis is on practical mitzvot, practical observance of commandments. Ulamachar chulu, and it is only tomorrow, like in the afterlife, that we will receive the reward. As it explained elsewhere. So both the Torah and the scripture, the verses, and the Talmud indicate that our main emphasis in this lifetime should be a full, practical observance of the commandments, because what we do matters the most. That is an achievable goal, and we should feel a sense of accomplishment in it. Only in the afterlife will we experience God fully with unconflicted emotional intensity, right? That roller coaster of feelings, like ups and downs of how we feel every day or whatever, like happy about something or not, that's going to go away when Mashiach comes. We're not going to experience animalistic urges and cravings and tendencies and desires. Like, it's just all going to be clear and smooth. V'hamayach shalet b'tivai. Observing all the mitzvot is entirely within our capabilities, since we have learned in chapter 12. Inherently and naturally, the brain rules over the left side of the heart, and that's from Zohar. The Zohar. Hamayach shalet b'tivai v'toladatai al chalal hasmali shabalev. Ve'al piv ve'al kol evarim shehem klei hamaisa. And through this path, it also rules over the mouth and over all the limbs, the instruments of action. So inherently, naturally, without even trying, the brain will always rule over the left side of the heart. We can control how we feel by focusing our mind, and that will literally convince our animal to jump along for the ride and get on board with what we're trying to accomplish. And it is through this path that once the mind is on board and the heart is on board, and we get that animal going in the direction we want to go, that will bring the mouth, meaning the words that we say, and our limbs, the instruments of action, will all be able to get onto a path of self-control. And as we all know, having the capacity to have self-control gives us the tools to a happy life, a successful, peaceful, joyful life, where we don't let our fears control us, and we let our fears listen to us. And we're in complete self-agency in every situation to make this world a bright and beautiful and wholesome, lovely and godly place. So thank you so much for tuning in to Kabbalah with a sip of espresso. Thanks for tuning in, and have a wonderful, blessed, and successful day. Bye.